All right, we are live on YouTube, and tonight we're going to be discussing, is justice coming for good creators? So stick around and find out exactly what I'm talking about. All of that and much, much more is coming right. Welcome to Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli. And if this is your first time here, and most importantly, you are open to suggestions and change, please consider subscribing and then banging that bell. And after you bang that bell, when that pop-up box pops up, make sure you select all notifications, because that way you won't miss a single thing. You will not miss anything when it comes to getting a better grip on your life. And also make sure on your smartphone, your tablet, your iPhone, your Android, or anywhere that you have the YouTube app installed on, you must also make sure that the YouTube app is set to receive those notifications at a device level. You do all of that and you're good to go. You're good to go. Mutt Nuts World's in the house. She said, hey, Eli and everyone, moderator and channel member, Mutt Nuts World. Stick around, Mutt. I have some kind words to say about you here in just a few. Love the background. Yeah, that's San Francisco right there. It's a beautiful, beautiful scenic shot, an aerial shot. Just amazing. Love it. Love it. But before we get to that, Mutt, and the rest of the show here, first of all, I want to pay special props to my great friend and sponsor of this channel, Troy Brewer, who is the CEO, founder, and owner of the Discover Community Network, for all of your product and service needs, from top-notch experts and people that know what they're talking about, and people that will get you the right answer the first time in the most trusted ways. Please consider visiting www.discovercommunitynetwork.com. That's www.discovercommunitynetwork.com. You can also visit another aspect of the Discover Community Network, or DCN for short, and that is the DCN Internet Radio Network. And on the DCN Internet Radio Network page, you'll be able to find any type of music of your choice. There are several stations out there that more than likely have a genre you like, and there are also several talk stations if you like talk radio. So if you'd like to check that out, please visit www.dcninternetradionetwork.com. One more time, that's www.dcninternetradionetwork.com. And you can also go below the description about a third of the way down and find both of those links so you can easily click on them. And if you ever reach out to Troy for anything regarding the DCN or Discover Community Network, please make him aware that Coach Eli sent you with lots of love. Okay. Well, okay. Well, there's some people behind the scenes that shall remain nameless that say beautiful background. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I take a lot of pride in the backgrounds I choose. I get a lot of my backgrounds from websites that have royalty-free and non-copyrighted, backgrounds that are free for commercial usage as well, because I'm a monetized channel out here on YouTube. This one came from Pixabay, and it's just a beautiful shot of San Francisco. It's just incredible. So thank you so much for that. Now, tonight I've got a dry throat because it's still pretty smoky outside here in the Bay Area. We still have some fires burning. They've been more than 50% contained, but the air quality is still pretty bad, and it just dries out my throat easily and quickly. So don't mind me if I take a few breaks every now and then tonight and have a sip of my drink, like I'm doing right now. But anyway, first of all, Mutt Nuts World, I want to pay a very special tribute to you, but let me make sure the notification went out. The notification has gone out, and let me make sure the stream health is looking pretty good. It actually is. 12 people in the box to start things off. Thank you so much for being here. Now back to you, Mutton Nuts World. I have to pay a very, very, very special tribute and thank you to you. I would have to say, Mutt, out of every person I've met on the YouTube platform, especially other creators that I've tried to collaborate with, I've never met anyone such as yourself that is as dedicated as you are and is as strong as you are to be able to handle and deal with this YouTube platform. YouTube is a beast, folks, and we're going to talk about that tonight. That's what this stream is about here primarily. But yeah, YouTube is a beast. Besides it being already very difficult to get discovered out here, you have to create a lot of videos, you have to optimize your titles, your thumbnails, your tags, your descriptions, and you have to have a little bit of luck, okay? Even if you do all of that right, you still have to deal with a lot of other aspects out here. You have to deal with hateful people. You have to deal with trolls. You know, you have to deal with the court of public opinion. And then you have to deal with people also stealing your content and violating your copyright. And while there are tools that YouTube provides to you to be able to handle those situations when they happen, and I'm sorry to say this, YouTube, I love you all, and I thank you for the opportunity to be able to use your platform out here for my business. But I got to be honest, like a lot of times YouTube does absolutely nothing when you flag videos that are clearly severely violating their terms of service or their community guidelines. And same with copyright. Sometimes, you know, when you flag things down for copyright, when people are stealing your content, they sometimes will question you and say, have you taken fair use into consideration? Absolutely. Of course. You know, but when you have, you know, several people that are re-uploading my content 13, 14, 15, or 20 times on different accounts because they're trying to, you know, ruin my business, you know, I've got to flag those down and, you know, I've got to take them down. So, you know, they're all legitimate, YouTube. And sometimes even when things are legitimate, even when you have someone like myself that runs a good, clean, monetized channel, I have no copyright strikes, no community guidelines, not even any content ID claims. I don't use any copyrighted content at all. I'm like the cleanest channel in the world. Even someone like me will get questioned on things every now and then. Now, having a great record with YouTube, a great track record on my channel, does help when they look to see if I'm legitimate when I have to file certain things. But I got to say, folks, you know, on YouTube, it is extremely difficult to get anything done when it involves community guidelines or copyright. You know, it's just a beast. Any other platform, any other social media platform where you would be dealing with similar aspects, they take care of the issues right away. So why doesn't YouTube do that? Is it because they have a lack of resources? I don't think that's what it is. I'm going to share more about what I feel it is tonight. And you're going to want to stick around for that because I'm going to be, well, let me read the topic first, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to be doing. The topic of tonight's stream is justice for good standing creators, ? So is justice coming for, you know, good standing creators? And in parentheses, I put, Steve Wozniak and others sue YouTube for non-action of policy. One more time, justice for good standing creators, ? Is justice coming for good standing creators like myself that, you know, have been harmed by the system? And in parentheses, Steve Wozniak and others sue YouTube for non-action of policy. If you're not aware of who Steve Wozniak is, he's known as the Woz. He lives here in the San Francisco Bay Area where I live, and he was the co-founder of Apple many decades ago alongside with the late Steve Jobs. Steve Wozniak is one of the nicest guys in the entire world. He is a billionaire. He's got tons of money. But what I love about Steve is that he doesn't flaunt his money. He's a humble man. And when I share with you, what I'm going to share with you tonight, if you already haven't heard about this story, it broke a few weeks ago, I believe, or within the last month. You're going to be just blown away at what's happening because he is suing YouTube for an issue that he tried to resolve on the platform for 2 months. And there's also another blog I'm going to be reading, another article I'm going to be reading, another group of people, another group of independent YouTubers are suing YouTube for copyright infringement and unfair treatment. And I really can't blame them. I'm like, wow, 2 lawsuits on YouTube, one for terms of service and not, applying their community guidelines properly. And number 2, not handling copyright properly. Again, I love you, YouTube. I think you're a great platform, and I know you're trying to do the best you can with what you got. But I think there's a reason why YouTube handles copyright and handles community guideline violations the way they do. Here's the gist of it. Let me just put it out there, okay? If YouTube removed every single piece of content that somewhat or partially or completely violated their community guidelines or copyright, they would be removing literally half the content or more that's being produced every day. And what kind of an effect would that actually have on the platform? Well, if you removed half the content or removed half of the creators, how much revenue would you lose? How many fewer people would be on this YouTube platform? There are currently 2 billion people on YouTube. If they lost half that audience, how much revenue would they lose? So I know why you're doing it, YouTube. You're doing it the way you handle community guidelines and copyright violations is because you really don't want to remove most things. Because the more content you remove, the more it's going to upset people, and they're going to leave the platform. And the less people on your platform, the fewer ads they watch, the fewer revenue you make, right? But what happens when you don't, even apply your own terms of service and you don't handle copyright properly? You start getting sued. People start getting frustrated. And, they're like, again, like I mentioned earlier, every other social media platform handles this differently and much better, in my opinion, almost immediately. Facebook, if you have an issue, they handle it right away. Twitter, if you have an issue, they handle it right away. Same with LinkedIn and pretty much every other social media platform. But YouTube is the only one where if you have an issue, in most cases, if you flag it, nothing ever happens to it, even if it blatantly violates the guidelines. Then you reach out to YouTube on Twitter, Team YouTube on Twitter. You share with them a link of some very hateful content, where they're calling, certain protected groups, will say it professionally, derogatory names. And then instead of taking care of the issue, they send you back the generic response. The content that's flagged on YouTube isn't, always removed or isn't removed right away. Please use our flagging system. Well, YouTube, we've used your flagging system to legitimately flag this content. And you also know that we're doing that. And now I'm coming out here saying I also know why you're not removing all this content, because you really don't want to remove it. So that's how I honestly feel things are happening at YouTube. And again, I really love this platform. And I'm not here trying to criticize YouTube. I'm just stating the facts. And, there were some creators that put out a few videos on the Steve Wozniak lawsuit and this other lawsuit, but most creators haven't done that. You know what I've seen most creators continue to do out here on this platform? They continue to attack one another. They continue to talk smack about each other. Like, YouTube last year created a blog to, ramp up, how they handle, harassment towards other creators. They made it very clear that harassment towards other creators will not be tolerated. Now, they have removed some creators for that, but they haven't removed the majority of them. There are many creators out here on YouTube that continue to harass and attack and make tons of videos on other creators, such as myself, for example, and YouTube has done nothing about it. And these people have been massively flagged for legitimate reasons, and they still do nothing about it. but they're coming out saying, "Hey, we've really stepped up our campaign towards cyberbullying and harassment and attacking other creators. We're taking a stronger stance on harassment and bullying." Okay, well, it's still happening to me, YouTube, all day, every day. It's still happening to me. Now, I'm a strong person that can take it, and it is affecting me in other ways, but still, I shouldn't have to deal with it. So why can't we just start taking down videos automatically when they get flagged, when they actually violate your guidelines? I can understand if things kind of push it right to the line, that's okay. But there are so many videos on this platform that have way crossed the line above and beyond. So anyway, enough of that. Let me check out the chat here. Nuts World says, I did a 5.13 mile walk today and the heat, my throat, so the heat made your throat dry. All right, that's cool. And Nuts World says, I am tough. Thank you for the kind words. Gur can't type, meant the heat dried my, not my, I know what you meant, Mutt. Don't worry about it. It's okay. It's all good. It is all good. All right, let me see. Let me scroll down and see if there's anything else down here. Is not, I can't tell. Yeah, don't worry about it, Mutt. Mutt, you get a freebie with me on the grammar and spelling because you're such a cool person. I respect and appreciate you that much. So anyway, 22 people in the box. Thank you so much for being here. All right, folks, because I don't want to be on too terribly long and I don't want to drag on this show, I'm going to get right to the first blog here. And I'm not going to read these blogs in their entirety because, I'm just going to make some commentary on it and then move forward. So I might get through this show in 45 minutes to an hour. Depending on how long it takes for me to get through the first blog. If it takes me a little longer than I think, I might take a break and then come back with the second one, but we'll just kind of play it by ear. But let's just get right to it. All right, let's switch over to the browser source. And the title of this blog is Steve Wozniak and 17 others sue YouTube and Google for allowing Bitcoin scam. One more time. Steve Wozniak and 17 others sue YouTube and Google for allowing Bitcoin scam. If you're unaware by this point, Google owns YouTube. They've owned YouTube, for, the last 14 or 15 years. The first year YouTube was run by a bunch of college students, and then they sold it to Google, I believe, for 1.7 or 1.8 billion. Like 16 years ago. I can only imagine what it would cost to buy YouTube today. YouTube would probably go for, 20 or 30 billion at least. Who knows? Maybe more. What a great investment, huh? And the amount of traffic that YouTube has brought to the Google platform is incredible, even though, for the first, 13 or so years that YouTube was around, they were not profitable. They were losing $1 billion or $2 billion each year. Google was making an extra $8 billion per year because of the exposure they were getting, through YouTube. So in essence, the whole company's been profitable. Now, YouTube as a standalone company, even though they're owned by Google, YouTube by themselves is now profitable. But even when they weren't profitable, on their own, they were still making Google more profitable. So if that makes sense, you know what I'm saying, right? Hopefully it does make sense. The lawsuit alleges that tech giants promoted and profited from the scam. This was written on July 23rd, 2020. And this was about, it was just about a little over a week ago. So let's get right to it. And let's see what happened here. Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, sued YouTube and its parent company Google for allegedly allowing scammers to use his name and likeness in fraudulent Bitcoin giveaways for months. So people were trolling, Steve Wozniak, the Woz. Okay, he's known as the Woz. Just call him the Woz. He's a cool dude, nicest guy in the world. Such a nice and humble guy. So they were trolling him. Now, I know the whole story. Let me read a little bit more, and then I'll share more feedback. In a lawsuit filed Tuesday, Wozniak and 17 other fraud victims alleged that the tech companies failed to protect its users from the scams by failing to remove the video swiftly and even selling targeted advertisements for the scam. Right. So not only were these videos, not deleted, they had advertisements. They had advertisements running on them. Wow. Must be nice, huh? Unbelievable. They are the only ones in the position that could have stopped this. Of course, Wozniak said at a press conference Thursday. They even know who's doing the posting. They're part of the crime. I probably wouldn't go as far, Woz, and say they know exactly who's posting it, but they know the IP it's coming from. And whoever's running these scams, they're probably using the VPN, so they probably have a VPN IP. But at the very least, they should immediately remove these videos, right? So whether they know who's doing this or not, they should remove these videos. But I get it. The Bitcoin giveaway scam uses images and videos of Wozniak and others like Elon Musk and Bill Gates to convince YouTube users that the figures are hosting a live Bitcoin giveaway event. Okay. Yeah, it's a scam. It's a total scam. They're trying to make it appear to the average everyday internet user or YouTube user that this is coming from the trusted Steve Wozniak, the Woz. So you should just buy now, right? Users can send in their Bitcoins in return for twice as much. So if I give you 100 Bitcoin, you're going to immediately give me 200 back. That doesn't sound fishy to you? Come on now. There's not a single investment out there that, at least in most cases, 99.9% of the time, that's going to double, your investment right away. Come on. Jeez. Wake up, people. Come on. But they received nothing back after transferring their cryptocurrency, and YouTube users have lost millions of dollars according to the lawsuit. I hate to say this, but if you're dumb enough to believe it when someone says, if you give me 100 Bitcoin, I'm going to send you 200 back. If you can't put that together, then I hate to say it, then you deserve to be taken. Like, I don't want anyone being taken, but come on. Isn't that obvious? Jeez. All right. Wozniak added, he had reported the scams to YouTube. While some of the videos have been removed, new videos of the scam have also appeared. Yeah, YouTube should be putting this into their content ID system. And when they get flagged, they should be getting taken down right away. Several videos surfaced on YouTube just Thursday morning, he said. It's akin to a game of whack-a-mole. Yeah, absolutely. That's what it is. Since the lawsuit was filed, Brian Dennitz, one of the attorneys representing the plaintiffs, said people worldwide have called them in hopes of joining the plaintiff's action, and the attorneys may file a second complaint against the tech giants. Well, good. Again, I love YouTube and Google. I love social media. But the more and more that we allow social media companies to get away with this stuff, the more profitable it is for them. The less... Oh, geez, what happened there? This whole thing is rolling around. Give me a second here, folks. Give me a second here. there are a lot of ads on this article here, and it's kind of screwing things up. All right, so yeah, and the attorneys may file a second complaint against the tech giants. Okay. Yeah, they should. They should. Let me just move forward. I kind of lost my train of thought there because all these ads started popping up and they kind of threw off my where I left off. Meanwhile, the plaintiffs have demanded a jury trial and an injunction for YouTube to stop hosting, promoting, and profiting from these criminally fraudulent videos and promotions, the lawsuit stated. Yeah, that's not right. That's not right. Like I said at the beginning of the show, the more and more content that YouTube removes, the less profitable they are. And I can understand from a company standpoint why they would want to be careful with which type of content or what content they remove or not. But when something blatantly violates your terms of service and you don't remove it, when you allow actual harassment on the platform, which you're saying is not allowed, and you've taken a stricter stance on it, and then you do nothing about it, how does that make you look? I think YouTube and Google know or knew something like this would eventually happen. And I think the thing is, they have so much money that it's cheaper for them to run their business this way and deal with the lawsuits as they come than to remove half the content on their platform. And when you have, a monopoly like Google and YouTube do, and you have the revenue and the, attorneys on hand like Google and YouTube have, it's real hard to get this done unless you're Steve Wozniak, which we'll get to more of that in a second here. A YouTube spokesman said in the statement, "We take abuse of our platform seriously and take action quickly when we detect violations of our policies, such as scams or impersonation." Yeah, I saw that going around when I was looking into this story. I started looking into this story last week. And I'm like, okay, so they gave the generic response. YouTube is the king of giving people generic responses, because I think they know what they're doing. They're doing everything I just mentioned a minute or so ago at the beginning of the show. And as long as they don't admit what they're doing and they give you a generic response, they're not admitting guilt, so it makes them appear less liable, right? It's probably a trick that their attorneys told them to do, right? So whenever you have people complain about this stuff, send out a generic response. It's showing that you're responding, but you're not incriminating yourself, right? Yeah. And I really love this platform. I love it, but I got to be honest. Wow. Okay. According to YouTube, it has strict policies of prohibiting such acts, and the company has removed more than 2 million videos and deleted over 1.5 million accounts in the first quarter of this year for violating its policies on deceptive practices. I know people that have over 1,000 YouTube/Google accounts. So let's think about this. If there are 2 billion people on this platform, and the average user has, let's say, 3 accounts, that's a minimum, right? Okay, 3 accounts. I know everyone typically has at least 2 accounts, right? Then you're looking at what, 6 billion accounts where content can be uploaded to? And what a lot of people do out here on YouTube is they'll run a main channel like me, but they'll create other accounts, which, in the YouTube community, we call them sock accounts, sock puppet accounts, where they're unidentifiable. And if you upload hateful content and guideline violating content, terms of service violating content, and it gets removed, you're not, it's not a big deal. It's a sock channel, and you can just throw up another one, right? Even though YouTube says once you get terminated, you're removed from the platform permanently. Well, they don't enforce that. That's another issue, right? So just because they've removed 2 million videos and deleted over 1.5 million accounts in the first quarter, it's not good enough. It's not good enough with the amount of users on this platform. 2 billion versus 2 million. That's a huge difference to me. But the lawsuit pointed to Twitter, which acted swiftly after fraudsters targeted 130 accounts of celebrities and public officials like Joe Biden and Elon Musk last week. I remember that, and Twitter handled it right away. They handled it beautifully. What happened with you, YouTube? Why didn't you handle it? Whenever, you have someone that has the resources and the pull that Steve Wozniak has come after you, that's a serious issue. And that's why I say that, for content creators out there that are in good standing, justice will more than likely be coming soon. Because I think the reason why the Woz is suing YouTube is not for the money. He's a billionaire. He doesn't need the money. He's doing it for the matter of principle. The Woz was one that, made a big impact in the way high tech is nowadays, the online world, okay, the computer world. He's made one of the biggest impacts. He is a legend, and he could easily pull power and get something done about this. He was interviewed by many people, and he was asked many times, "Why didn't you have you contacted Susan Wojcicki?" He's like, I don't want to use my name to take care of this. Why should I have to use my name to take care of this? Like, I just want to be an average person. I'm like, dude, mad respect, dude. That's humble, right? It's very humbling, right? And he furthermore said, I just did what other creators do. We reported this, we flagged this, hundreds of times every day. Many people reported it, and these videos were still up. Most of them were still up. Why can't they just take him down? He's like, you can't even get a human at YouTube. You can't get anyone. You can't talk to anyone there. It's all done by artificial intelligence, by robots, which he understands to a certain extent. You have to do that, but for some serious situations, how come you can't even reach a human being? So I have mad respect for the Woz for not, using his name to reach out to Susan, because I can tell you right now, if he did reach out to Susan, she'd drop everything. She knows the Woz is legendary, and the Woz has money. And the Woz has money to the point of where he can create a pretty damning lawsuit. Now, I don't think the Woz is out to break YouTube. I think he's out to set YouTube straight and say, hey, look, when are you going to start enforcing your own policies that you've created? Why have these policies if you're not going to enforce them, right? That's been my problem all along. Besides that, I love the platform. I love this platform. But the one thing I can't stand is the fact that they don't enforce their own policies, at least not all the time, or the majority of the time. They do enforce them every now and then, but it's not good enough. Definitely not good enough. All right. Give me 1 second here. Scammers offered to send $2,000 for every 1,000 sent to an anonymous Bitcoin address. While Twitter shut down the accounts and issued an apology, YouTube has been unapologetically hosting, promoting, and directly profiting from similar scams, the lawsuit stated. I don't think YouTube is purposefully doing that. I just think it ended up being that way because that's how their automated system works. I think the problem is that, when people flag things, they get sent to a queue and they only reach a human reviewer in order of what the automated system thinks is the most important. All right. I had a refresh that popped up here. Give me a second here. gosh, there's so many ads on this site. It's just crazy. It is so crazy. Oh my God. All right. Joe Koch, another lawyer representing the plaintiffs, accused YouTube and Google for hiding behind the Communications Decency Act. That's what they're doing. But that still doesn't, it's not going to protect them over this. A legislation that protects internet speech. This has nothing to do with that. This is a scam. There's a difference. Communications decency, to me, maybe scams are a part of that, but this is pretty much an obvious thing. Scams are not allowed anywhere, and YouTube knows that. In particular, Section 230 of the law protects platforms that host or republish user content from liability for the content. That doesn't mean they can't get sued. It'll give them a certain level of protection. But if you're the Woz and you're going to file this lawsuit, and even if the Woz loses, how good is the publicity for Google and YouTube to have Steve Wozniak sue you? Wow. When I saw that, I was like, holy smokes, man. Jesus. Wow. YouTube's alleged participation, however, falls beyond the purview of Section 230, as the promotions at issue here are blatant criminal conduct that is not even arguably protected by the First Amendment, the lawsuit stated. I agree. I was trying to say that in different words. These scams are not protected by Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act. So YouTube's in some deep doo-doo here. I hate to say it. It is because of YouTube's affirmative acts that these people believe this was a live event hosted by Steve Wozniak or Elon Musk, Dan said. And that's what induced people to give over their Bitcoins to these fraudsters. Wow. All right, we are at 37 minutes. Let's go back over to full screen. And let me just mention something here about this before I step away and take a quick break. And then I'm going to come back and read the other article regarding some independent creators that are suing YouTube over the way they handle copyright, which I've had my opinions about that in the past as well. I even did an entire stream on that several weeks back. Just, go and search my channel for the copyright video. And you'll see, how I feel that system is flawed. Now, part of the reason why copyright is flawed is because the only way you can, technically win a copyright case is by suing one in a federal court, which costs tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So what happens when you flag someone down on YouTube, okay, for copyright legitimately? They have the option of filing a counter notification. If their counter notification is approved through YouTube, which most of the time they approve it, then you have 10 days to sue them in a federal court, spending tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you don't do that, then in 10 days, the content gets reinstated. Now, that's federal law that's screwing that over, and they are trying to change that. They are trying to make a small claims version of copyright court. Hopefully that'll be coming out in the next year or so or less. But in the meantime, it's more flawed. And then I've even seen YouTube, on certain copyrights, get back to me and other creators saying that we're concerned about your request. Have you considered fair usage? Well, the funny thing is that YouTube has also made videos saying that we are not an advocate regarding what's fair use or not fair use. Fair use can only be decided by the court of law. YouTube is all about the facts. If you submit a valid and legal, DMCA, Digital Millennium Copyright Act, copyright takedown notice, they have to take that down by law. If someone files a legal and valid counter notification on that, they have to forward that counter notification by law. But I've seen now YouTube is trying to further keep up content that is definitely copyright infringement by trying to send out these emails saying that we are very concerned that all or part or all of your copyright notification is invalid. Have you considered fair usage? Well, of course. Then they make you write this whole thing out, right? That's what they do, and explain it. And in most cases, then they'll take the video down. But you see what they're trying to do? They're trying to protect content that should be taken down, whether it's copyright or whether it violates guidelines. And honestly, more and more people are catching on to that. And even people with money like the Woz are catching on to the way they're running this, and they're going to sue. And I can't wait to see what happens next. Is YouTube going to start taking a stronger stance on these things? Are you going to see more and more videos go down because of this lawsuit? If I had to guess, oh yeah. Now, let me check out the chat real quick before I take that break. Let me see here. Let's World says Facebook. I'm slacking in that as well. A friend of mine did a video. I will find it and send it to you later. All right, sounds good, Mutt. Excellent. Yeah, don't worry that you can't type. Wow, it's messed up how people scam others. Right. But it goes beyond the point of the scam, Mutt. It's the point that Steve Wozniak, the Woz, is trying to make is that YouTube is not doing either anything about it or enough about it. They might take one or two videos down, but on the platform, people keep re-uploading to thousands of accounts. And they have the capabilities. YouTube and Google have the top engineers in the world. They can create systems that could remove all of this just like that. They're just choosing not to, because the more videos that take down, the less opportunity it is for YouTube to put ads on those videos and make ad revenue, right? And that's what it all boils down to. So that's where the issue is at. And I think, like I said, Steve Wozniak taking a stance on this and suing YouTube is going to change the way they do things. I'm telling you. I'm blown away by this lawsuit. I really, really am. All right, let me go ahead and queue up some royalty-free YouTube music here, and I'm going to take a quick break. Just give me a second. Let me check something on my phone real quick. All right, just give me a second here. Let me see. Just a couple more here. All right, and one more. It's a great night tonight. It's a beautiful, beautiful night. Which one do I want to play? All right, folks, stick around. When I get back, we're going to get into the second blog regarding a copyright lawsuit from some independent YouTubers against YouTube. And to the person behind the scenes, I agree with you on your message there. YouTube should be sued for allowing cyber terrorism on YouTube. Or they should just stop it at least. They should just stop it. You keep flagging it down and nothing happens, right? So you have to fend for yourself, right? And you gotta, take care of those things legally. But I get it. But thank you for your behind the scenes comment. I appreciate it. All right, folks, stick around. We'll be right back. Clap your hands, clap your hands, clap, 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 clap their hands. Woo-wee! Yeah! Want you all to feel real good. You feel good, Mud? Clap with me. Clap, 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 clap with me. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gotta love it, gotta love it, gotta love it. Do, 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 do. Feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it. Feel it, feel it, feel it. I feel good. Bow, 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 bow. Yeah, oh yeah. Ooh, save some energy for the show, bro. Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Ooh, energy up. It's lit up like San Francisco is behind me here. Yeah, right? Ooh. All right. Welcome back to Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli, live here on YouTube. And even though I've been talking about YouTube getting sued here today, and I agree with the people that are filing the suits for the reasons they're filing them, I still love YouTube. YouTube, I love you. I just think there are better ways you can handle things and make this a better and safer place for everyone. You advocate for safety. You advocate for all these great things, yet your actions show otherwise. And I've lived through this myself. I'm speaking from personal experience. But I'm a strong dude, so I'm still here. But it still affects me. And there are other people out here that aren't as strong, and it really affects them. I've seen people leave the platform over stuff like this. I've even seen people take their lives over this. I mean, have we taken that into consideration? No one deserves to lose their life or give up on their dreams of being a YouTuber because of all this. So why don't we work together and fix this? And you can still make money. All right, it is 9:46 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 6:46 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time in my neck of the woods. My neck of the woods, I can't even talk. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. Right behind me, San Francisco. And tonight, folks, we are discussing justice for good standing creators. Is justice in the near future for good standing creators? Are we going to get some relief from all this craziness that we've been dealing with out here on YouTube? And then in parentheses, the topic states, Steve Wozniak and others sue YouTube for non-action of policy. During the first part of the show, if you missed it, I read a blog and I was explaining, why Steve Wozniak, who's known as the Woz, the co-founder of Apple decades ago, is suing YouTube. If you missed any parts of that first, segment, please go back and check out the replay. It's a pretty interesting story. And if you don't think it's going to affect you as a YouTuber in the future, then you're definitely wrong. It's going to affect you, and I believe, from what my intuition's telling me, I believe it's going to affect you in a better way. I think it's going to make the platform an even better place and safer place. And now, during the second half, we're about to get to another blog that's involving a couple of independent creators that are suing YouTube for, YouTube mishandling the copyright system and their copyright situation, their intellectual property. We'll get to that in just a second here. But let me check out the chat and see if there's anything, happening here. Buttnuts World says, little tired, but feel good. Been a long day. Well, you walked over 5 miles, and I cannot wait to start doing my walks again. I have been walking around a little bit. I've been running a bunch of errands lately. I've had some business-related things to take care of. So I've been getting some walking in. I actually did end up walking about a half a mile today, which is good. So I'm pretty much, I'm like about 95% recovered from my pinched nerve. I'm almost there, but not quite. So I'm not trying to push myself and re-injure myself. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting back out there and taking those walks and even doing my walking with purpose streams again. Mutt, do you miss my walking with purpose streams? Those are my favorite. I love the walking streams. So those are going to be coming very soon, probably sometime within the next 30 days or so. I will start them back up again. All right, folks, let's get to the next blog here. Let's go over to the browser source, and I'm going to have to actually switch over to I have to actually align this here. So if you just give me 1 second here, I can do this pretty quickly on the fly. Mud is really beating herself up today for, typos and grammar and stuff. Mud, I'm not counting that. You're an awesome person. You're an amazing person. Yes, typically I am a grammar Nazi, but with you, Mutt, you're such a wonderful person, and I mean that I'll let you get away with, I won't say everything, but almost everything. If I were to tell you I was going to let you get away with everything, then you'd take advantage of me. Well, actually, I'll take that back. You're not that kind of person, but still, I would never let anyone get away with everything, including myself. I even hold myself accountable at that high of a standard. So anyway, give me 1 second here. Let me just make sure that this is all in alignment. Do 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 do. All right, and give me a second here. Do 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 do. All right, we're almost good to go. Oh, what did I just do there? I think I just screwed that up. I think I got it right. Give me a second. My apologies, folks. My apologies. All right. When you do this on the fly and you don't have an assistant, you got to do what you got to do, right? You get to see this live in action. Do 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 do. All right. That looks pretty good. Almost. Okay. I think we're pretty good now. All right. So you're not going to be able to see the title of this blog, but it's YouTube sued by content creators for copyright infringement, unfair treatment. This was written on July 6, 2020. Both of these blog links that I've shared tonight are below the description, a few lines down under the source category. So check them out if you'd like. Give them some love. Make a comment. But let's just get right to it. All right. Grammy-winning composer and musician Maria Schneider and Pirate Monitor Ltd. filed a class action complaint against YouTube for copyright infringement on Thursday in the Northern District of California. Northern District, that is in my neck of the woods. Northern California. Wow. Okay. I need to further look in and see where this, or look at this and see where this complaint was filed at. I think there's a link here, but I'm not going to click on it right now. Claiming that YouTube does not afford them the same opportunity to remove infringing work as larger content creators, and that infringing work that is removed from the platform is often re-uploaded and posted by users without repercussions. Yeah, that's happened to me all the time. And see, when you're a part of the YouTube partner program, you get what's called the copyright match tool. And what the copyright match tool does is it detects, they say it detects nearly full uploads or re-uploads of your videos. But I've noticed also in some cases it will detect smaller clips, but it doesn't get everything. It doesn't get everything. I've had to go out there and manually search for people re-uploading my content and filing manual copyright takedown notices. And there's a tool called the Content ID system, which larger companies get access to, which picks up everything. It is a bulletproof matching system for the most part, right? And so these creators are upset probably for the same reasons I am, where they probably have the copyright match tool because they're probably part of the partner program, but it's just not helping them out. And they have to go out there and waste time and energy and effort to find hundreds, if not thousands, of re-uploads of their content, right? And as a musician, I mean, that's your livelihood right there. Somebody steals your music and re-uploads it, and people can watch it on their channel. You're not going to get any money off it, right? So yeah, I get it. I've dealt with the same thing. This article, this story really got to me. The plaintiffs, ordinary creators of copyrighted works, that's a great name, claim that YouTube is replete with videos infringing on the rights of copyright holders. I would have to agree with that. I've dealt with it myself. I can only speak of what I've experienced. Same thing. If you only knew how many copyright takedown notices I filed over the last week alone, you'd be shocked. I will save that for another day. They've added that YouTube has facilitated and induced this hotbed of copyright infringement through its development and implementation of a copyright enforcement system that protects only the most powerful copyright owners, such as major studios and record labels, because those are the people that have the money to sue them. Because that's part of the problem with the copyright system and copyright law. If you're going to sue someone for infringing your copyright, or your intellectual property, in other words, you have to sue them in a federal court, which costs tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. So in essence, they know they're going to get away with it, right? And that's what these creators are suing for. It's like it's an unfair game. Oh yeah, we have rights. We're protected by copyright as small creators. But when it comes time to be able to enforce our rights, it's out of our reach financially. Is that fair? They got to do something about this, you know? Furthermore, those major studios and record labels, they have access to that content ID system. If you're a YouTube creator and you've ever uploaded, copyrighted music or copyrighted material, and you get what's called a content ID claim, that's what these larger companies have, these major studios and record labels have. They have access to content ID, and they can even pick up, used content as little as 1 or 2 seconds. That's how good that system is. I think every creator should have access to that, but it's not the way it works. And that's what part of the argument is here. It's unfair to us smaller creators. Furthermore, the plaintiff said their limitations are deliberate and designed to maximize YouTube's and its parents, Google's and Alphabet's focused but reckless drive for user volume and advertising revenue. I agree with you wholeheartedly. YouTube, I love you. Google, I love you. But the truth's the truth. The bottom line is if you moved every single piece of copyright infringement out here, you'd have no business, right? That's not necessarily true, but it would hurt a lot of your business. Because many people out on this platform, they don't know how to create original content. They've got nothing besides reusing other people's content. Now, what YouTube's going to say, okay, these people are using our content under fair use. Well, if they re-upload enough of one of our videos to the point of where if someone saw our video on someone else's channel, even though there were only maybe 5 or 10 clips out there of an hour stream, if they put enough clips out there to paint the story of my entire stream, then no one would come watching on my channel. It's not fair to me. It's affecting my business. It's affecting my opportunity. It's affecting my intellectual property, my copyright. So again, furthermore, the plaintiff said their limitations are deliberate, I agree, and designed to maximize YouTube's and its parents, Google's and Alphabet's focused but reckless drive for user volume and advertising revenue. Could not have said it better myself. Just the way it is. That's how the system works out here for the time being on YouTube, but maybe these 2 lawsuits I'm making you folks aware of today might change things. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021. What will YouTube do? In addition to claiming that they do not have a meaningful enforcement tool to prevent this infringement, the plaintiffs also said that the system in place actually exacerbates the harms caused to them, including in a manner that bars defendants from the protection of any safe harbors under applicable copyright laws, such as the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA. To manage copyrights for large content creators, YouTube has a Content ID digital footprint tool, and that compares videos being uploaded on YouTube to a catalog of copyrighted material submitted by those entities permitted to utilize Content ID. Right. Content ID allows the copyright owner to identify infringing works and to determine what happens to the infringing work. So yeah, when you have Content ID, if you're lucky to have it, more so the bigger companies, the music industry and Motion Pictures Association, et cetera, they have access to that. What happens is, you basically set up your Content ID system, to tell YouTube what you want them to match. So if someone uses any part of that particular piece of content, that video, the content ID system will catch it. And then the rights holder, who has content ID on their channel can decide what action to take. They can say, okay, we want this video blocked worldwide. They can say that this video can remain public, but we're going to run ads on your video, whether you're monetized or not, and we're going to take all the ad revenue, or they can even choose to share revenue with you, or they can even submit a DMCA copyright takedown notice. In most cases, they don't submit a copyright takedown. They'll either block your video worldwide, or they will share revenue with you, or they will take all the revenue and put ads on your video that's using their content, whether you're monetized or not. So the plaintiff stated that content ID is not only unavailable to plaintiffs in the class, but it actually insulates the vast majority of known and repeated copyright infringers from YouTube's repeat infringer policy, thereby encouraging its users continuing to upload of infringing content. It happens to me all the time. And that's a lot of the problem right there, because the system is so flawed and infringers know the YouTube system, they know what they can and can't get away with. And they know how hard it is to search and find content, okay? And if somebody takes one of my videos and re-uploads it 20 or 30 times, I got to go out there and find that. Then I got to take, 10 hours to file all those individual claims. There's got to be a better way to do it. Now, if you're in the partner program, you have access to the copyright match tool. But it is a dumbed down version of Content ID. It's not as powerful as Content ID. Now, does YouTube and Google have the capabilities to make the copyright match tool as powerful as Content ID, at least for matching purposes? Yeah, but why, in my opinion, do I feel it's not as powerful? Because if they made it as powerful, more videos would be removed, and the more videos that are removed, the less revenue for YouTube, the less videos to put ads on, the less time people are going to spend on the platform. Or those people that are creating the infringement will just go to another platform, right? It's just ridiculous, The plaintiffs add that Content ID is allegedly designed to prevent big entities from suing the platform, and that it is, in effect, created a two-tiered system whereby the rights of large creators with resources to take defendants to court on their own are protected. Right. Because they have the money to sue in the federal court. Because it costs a lot of money if they have to go that route. But at the same time, Content ID will immediately catch someone that's re-uploaded any part of their content, even 1 or 2 seconds, and they can block that video. I wish I had that access. I'd be blocking a lot of videos myself. I don't want people using my content without my permission. Now, if you use it under fair use, a few clips here and there, do some commentary legitimately, no problem. But most people don't use fair use the right way. They don't understand the purpose of fair use. It's for critique, commentary, etc. And you have to transform the content. Most people don't do that. And then they still try to claim it's fair use. No, it's not. While smaller and independent creators like plaintiffs and the class are deliberately left out in the cold. The DMCA, according to the plaintiffs, is designed to provide a safe harbor against copyright infringement claims for entities such as YouTube, so long as they formulate and reasonably enforce a policy terminating repeat copyright infringers from their platform. They will remove you if you get 3 strikes. The problem is sometimes when you're filing these takedowns, even if they're legitimate, they sometimes will send you notices, saying that, we feel this is fair use. If you still feel your copyright is violated, please explain to us in more detail, why, right? Again, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't know that YouTube, had anything to do with this, with deciding what's fair use or not. They're not an advocate for fair use. Well, maybe they are, but they're not the deciding factor of what's fair use or not. Only the court of law is. So basically, YouTube's job in the copyright department is to take down videos that receive a valid and legal takedown notice. And if someone wants to file a counter notification on that to counter someone taking down their video, and if they actually have a fair use case and it's legitimate and legal, then they can argue that through a counter notification. Then YouTube will forward that counter notification to the person being infringed upon. That's all YouTube is supposed to do, but that's not all they're doing. I have personal experience on that. Okay. They also note that the Content ID system is quicker and provides users with an immediate response in comparison to the manual and antiquated takedown notice process that plaintiffs are forced to use. I agree. I'm in the same boat. And I've got the copyright match tool, which is supposed to take care of this stuff, just like Content ID. But it's not as good as Content ID. It does get a lot, but it doesn't get everything. And then once you start taking users down, they start to figure out ways to manipulate the copyright match tool by slowing down the video, or by speeding up your voice, or adding stuff to the video, to try to make it appear like it's fair use and to bypass the copyright match tool or Content ID. And sometimes it does work, but it's still infringing upon your intellectual property. But those, you got to go out there and find them and take them down. Now, Content ID would catch all those. Copyright match tool doesn't catch all those. So smaller creators, like these people here that are suing YouTube for this, are saying it's a pain in the butt. It's making it much more difficult for them to survive on the platform. In this lawsuit, the plaintiffs seek to emphasize the importance of copyright and copyright enforcement. For example, plaintiff Schneider claims that at least 12 separate YouTube videos of her song, Hang Gliding, are published by YouTube, with tens of thousands of cumulative plays performed by various groups, and none of which are uploads authorized by plaintiff Schneider. She further stated that after multiple takedown requests, these songs are still subsequently posted in part or in full on YouTube. Plaintiff Pirate Monitor noted that its work, Immigrants, is copyrighted. Pirate Monitor has applied for access to the Content ID program, but has not received access. I try to get access to that too. They deny me every time. Pirate Monitor stated that its content has been infringed through the publication of unauthorized videos, which it requests that YouTube take down. Okay, cool. The plaintiff adds that even when Immigrants is taken down, it has been reposted in full following the first takedown notice. Right. That's what these people will do. You take them down once, they'll create another account, and they'll re-upload it. They'll re-upload it to 100 accounts. The only way you can stop it is if you give everyone access to Content ID. Furthermore, Pirate Monitor has been prevented from sending takedown notices for each of these works because defendants limit the number of notices that plaintiff and the class can send in a day. I think you were probably mentioning, I think you meant to say YouTube. Now, I think the most copyright takedown notices I've sent out in one day was like 20 or 25. And they all, they went through. But if you're sending like 100 or something, I can see that they would have some limits. But how long would it take you to fill out, 100, takedown notices manually in one day? That's very, very tedious. Oh my God. The plaintiffs allege that no matter how many takedown notices they file and how many times the infringing content is removed, the same person or another person has subsequently re-uploaded plaintiff's copyright content. It happens to me all the time. All the time. And that's that. So, yeah, I mean, folks, if you want to go back a few weeks and watch my video or stream I did, is copyright law flawed? I think that's what the title was. Go check it out. It goes into more detail about what's really going on and what our government is trying to do to change copyright law to add a small claims court version of copyright court, a federal copyright court for smaller creators, and make it affordable for them to be able to protect their intellectual property. Because without that, what good is having copyright protection? What good? You file a takedown notice. If someone files a counter notification, and even if it's not fair use, if they say it's fair use, most of the time YouTube will forward that counter notification as they have to do it by law. Then you have 10 days to sue them. These other creators know you're not going to sue them because of the flaw in the system where it costs too much money for the time being because there's no small claims court version of copyright law or of copyright court. So they get away with it every time. So are you really protected? Well, technically on paper you are. But can you apply your protection? No. That's where the problem is, right? Copyright is a big, big, big problem on YouTube. It still is a big problem. Very big problem. And until the government finally passes, this bill to, start a small claims court version of copyright court, there are going to be issues. And until YouTube starts to give everyone access to content ID to a certain extent to further prevent these uploads, people are going to keep doing this. So I'm hoping these two lawsuits here, let me go ahead and switch back over to full screen before we wrap this up. So hopefully these two lawsuits here that are being filed on YouTube and Google are going to really show them that people are starting to get really, really upset about, how they're being treated on this platform. It's not that YouTube is deliberately trying to hurt anyone. I firmly believe that. I feel they're trying to run a business and they're trying to find a fine balance of, what to take down and not to take down. But the bottom line is this. If you violate somebody's copyright, that's cut and dry. That's the law. They have to take it down. If they don't take it down, then YouTube is violating the law. And they don't want to be fined for that. Okay? And as far as, community guidelines, if if you, YouTube, continue to say, hey, we take a strong stance on harassment and bullying and attacking other creators and, attacking a protected class or using racial slurs and this and that, if you continuously come out here and state that, you take a strong stance on that, but you don't show it with your actions of taking videos down, then why say it in the first place? It devalues your credibility. Actions speak louder than words. And I do hope that, by the end of 2020 or early 2021, YouTube comes out, identifies these issues, and takes a stronger stance and says we are actually going to start doing something about it, and then show us. Do I think that these cases are going to have an impact on that? Yes. Do I think it'll fix all of the issues? No. But do I think it'll get a little bit better because of these cases? Yes. If we don't hold people accountable, folks, if we don't hold these big companies accountable for the things that are harming us legally, right? Okay? Then nothing will ever be done about it. Why would Google or YouTube do anything if they didn't feel it's going to hurt them legally or cost them money? Let them get away with it. They're going to keep doing what they're doing. If you hold them accountable, like the Woz is, like Steve Wozniak with his lawsuit, and these other people here with their copyright lawsuit, they're going to start taking them more seriously. So that is that, folks. I'm going to get on out of here. Let me just check out the chat one more time. Let's see. Nuts World says, very good blogs tonight. Well, thank you so much, Mutt. I hope you learned something. I hope everyone else learned something. We're leaving 15 people in the box. So I'm going to get on out of here, folks. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you to Mutton Nuts World for moderating the chat. Thank you to everyone else who's watching behind the scenes. And that's going to do it. Have yourselves a great night, and I'll see you all next time, more than likely tomorrow. Take care. We're out. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye. Peace out. We're out. We're out. We're out. We're out. We're out. We're out.